Ohio State is number one, and I don't know. When's the last time Ohio State was number one, Bill?
A couple months ago.
Oh, yeah. Doug Lesmerises and Bill Landis on the Bill and Doug Show. Polls are out Tuesday afternoon, delayed because everybody needed to wait and watch Bill Belichick set his reputation on fire before they can. I think we're going to be ranking UNC. Got to wait on the Tar Heels. Let's delay that poll until 2:00 on Tuesday. Ohio State is number one in both polls. They have a combined 114 first place votes in the AP and coaches polls. Penn State got a total of 13 first place votes. LSU has 4. Georgia and Oregon each have 1. In the AP, it's Ohio State 1, Penn State 2, LSU 3, Georgia 4, Miami 5, Oregon 6. Texas, former number 1, dropped to 7 in the AP, Bill. Ohio State kind of been at number 1 before, huh?
They have been at number 1 before, quite a bit, yes. So this is courtesy of Ohio State SID Jerry Emig, who got this from the AP. Alabama still has the most weeks as the number 1 team in the AP poll with 141 all time. Ohio State is second with 107, which includes today's ranking. Oklahoma is third, 101. Notre Dame is fourth with 98. USC is fifth with 91. Some more stats about Ohio State in the AP poll. Ohio State has been ranked in the top 25 of the AP poll for 80 consecutive weeks. Whoa. That is the third longest active streak, behind Alabama at 279. When they fall out, we're going to have a party. And Georgia with 132. And one last note is that Ohio State has played 88 games as the number 1 team in the AP poll and is 75, 12, and 1 in those games. That is the second most games played as the number 1 team behind Alabama, which has played 123.
I'm not saying Alabama's going to lose to Louisiana Monroe this week, but I'm saying it's on the table. But
isn't that who Saban lost to? Didn't Saban lose to UL Monroe when he was like his first year at Alabama?
I think that's right. Okay. Yeah. You could go down that road. Let's go down that road. But for real, Luke Fickell licking his chops. Wisconsin at Bama, week 3. Billy Edwards Jr., the Wisconsin quarterback, is reportedly not going to play this week because he got hurt in week 1. But if he can be back for that, Wisconsin certainly wasn't perfect, but Bama's there for the taking, is it not?
Yes. If I would not have entertained the notion of Wisconsin beating Alabama before the season, but I will very much entertain it now, and I hope it happens.
Bama dropped to 21. They shouldn't be ranked.
They should not be ranked. There's no reason for them to be ranked.
Pollsters, inertia. Reese Davis, who does vote, I thought it was good of him to say he was the play-by-play guy on the Belichick debacle on Monday night, and he said, I'm not putting him in my top 25. So good for Reese Davis, bad for everybody else who did vote Alabama, number 21.
They did lose, by the way, November 17th, 2007. UL Monroe 21, Alabama 14.
Let's make some calls. Let's talk to some old UL Monroe guys. Let's make some calls this week. The losers from week 1, as we said, Texas dropped to number 7 after losing to Ohio State. Clemson dropped to number 8 after losing to LSU. Notre Dame number 9 after losing to Miami, and Bama number 21. So those are the 4 teams in the top 25 who are 0-1. Landis, I think actually we didn't talk about this before. We may do a version of this every Tuesday because we're going to get into the playoff rankings at the end of the year, right? The last 6 weeks when the playoff committee will actually do that. Maybe we'll just drop sort of our version of our playoff bracket every Tuesday evening. Drop it here on YouTube every Tuesday evening until the playoff committee starts going. And then maybe once the committee starts going, we'll start reacting Tuesday evenings.
I think that makes sense. You're getting this one a little earlier. I think we were anticipating not so much that Ohio State might not be number 1, but there was a lot of discussion about Ohio State or LSU, who should be number 1 in the AP poll coming out of this week's games. And then the answer just started like it was Ohio State emphatically. In fact, LSU is 3. So
yeah,
I guess this ended up from that standpoint being a little less interesting than we thought it would be. But I think you and I would like to have our sort of playoff thoughts on the record every Tuesday as we get closer to. I think it's the first Tuesday after Ohio State, Penn State, I think is when we get the first play rankings.
Yeah. So this, I think, will be a regular Tuesday thing here on YouTube and the podcast feed once our podcast feed gets rolling, which it will be shortly. I said that I thought Ohio State should be a unanimous number one. You beat number one. I think Texas is worthy of that. It's not, again, a lot of times people in the preseason are like, well, if you go by rankings, then you just know who has talent. You don't want to be beholden to it, but you have an idea. Texas has a lot of good players. That's a win. The only thing for the LSU case, because I thought Ohio State defensively was more dominant against Texas than LSU was in any phase against Clemson. LSU played very well and looked really good. That was on the road. So if you want to give LSU bonus points for winning on the road in a top 10 matchup, I would get that. It threw us off a little bit. The Athletic did their 1 through 136 rankings, and they had LSU 1. They meeting a guy, Chris Vanini, and we respect his opinion to do that. But then, like, just nobody else did it. Like, as you said, LSU got 3 first-place votes, Penn State 7, Ohio State 55, and Oregon 1 in the AP. You want to do our brackets?
Yeah. Also, like, it's silly that Penn State's number 2, right?
I would not have Penn State 2. Yeah. I would go by who has the best wins and against the elite opposition showed how good they were. I thought, for instance, Oregon and Penn State both did what they needed to do against inferior opposition, but I wouldn't have Penn State ahead of LSU. I wouldn't have Penn State ahead of Miami.
No, nor would I. It's still in the top 10, right? Like you sort of like you work your way through, I think, the big games and respect those accordingly, but there are only so many. And then you get back into like, well, this team is good. They just haven't played anybody great yet. But so like Penn State is still probably, if you go that way, like a top 5 team, but not number 2, not after the way this week went.
And then guess what? When Penn State hosts Oregon at the end of September, when Penn State goes to Ohio State, guess what? Penn State will have the opportunity to do. Earn the right to be number 1. Yeah, but if you're not going by results the whole time, then what are you doing? So yeah, I mean, I don't have to go over that. It'd be below what I think about that. What team did you change your mind on the most based off week 1?
That's a good question. Probably Miami.
Miami looked good.
Yeah. I think Miami.
Both sides of the line, like dominated in a lot of ways. I actually thought Carson Beck got bailed out on a couple things here and there. Obviously, the miraculous one-handed touchdown catch, but they also broke out Malachi Toney as a young receiver who went 6 for 82 and a touchdown. That was real, but I think so it's like veteran QB. I'm not the biggest Carson Beck fan in the world. People know that, but just physically dominant in a lot of ways against a team. Notre Dame, I think maybe on the defensive line can be a little undersized at times. I think that Notre Dame offensive line is good, and Miami pushed them around a little bit.
They did, yeah. I think whatever you think of Carson Beck, I would consider him like at least a high floor quarterback. And now he's got some weapons around him, right? He just has what he didn't get the Brock Bowers, Ladd McConkey Georgia offense. So last year anyway. So this is a different group of skill guys around him. And that offensive line I think is very good. And like Ruben Bain on Miami's defensive line looked like a maniac. There's a lot of speed. They play with a ton of energy. Miami does. You're still, and Mario Cristobal kind of did it in that game and got away with it. Like you're a Mario Cristobal, understand how clocks work situation away from Miami, like losing a game it shouldn't lose. But from a talent standpoint, I thought they looked very good. Among certainly the most impressive looking teams over the weekend.
When you have games like that early in the year, it can be sometimes hard to figure out who is this result more about. Mm-hmm. I think the Miami Notre Dame result was more about Miami. I picked Notre Dame to win the national championship. I have not really changed my mind on Notre Dame very much at all. I thought that was a really good Miami team. For instance, I tweeted this, Alabama, Florida State. I think that's Alabama stinking. And I would not be surprised. People are getting very excited about Florida State. I wouldn't be shocked if Florida State goes 7-5. Just because Bama lost to 2 6-6 teams last year. So I think that's a function of, do we want to have this? I would like to do a fantasy draft, maybe on a pod this week, fantasy draft of next Alabama coach. I think it's 100% certainty Kalen DeBoer is getting fired because the quotes coming out from former Alabama players, apparently Trent Richardson and AJ McCarron, I think, have a podcast together, and they both were talking about how soft everybody was and they were on the sideline and there's no energy. It's not the loss. It's that people associated with Alabama are saying we look soft, we looked poorly coached. I think it's over in Alabama. I think it's over.
I'm pulling up Alabama's schedule to see.
They're losing to Wisconsin. We already just said they're losing to Wisconsin.
When it might happen. I mean, but if they lose to Wisconsin at home, is Kalen DeBoer coaching 2 weeks later against Georgia?
So this is one of the things. He has a $63 million buyout. Like I get it, right? And so like,
but Bama's the kind of place that would pay it.
And also, if his life is miserable, does he say you don't have to give me the whole $63 million? Like just like give me half, and it's like this is not working, right? It's not working. It's not working. It was a bad hire at the start. Anybody who thought otherwise was wrong, and it's exploding. It's not going to work. They're not going to turn it around. It's over. It's over at Alabama. So like, and I think everybody at Alabama, they're not fooling themselves. A lot of people were fooling themselves this offseason. Nobody's fooling themselves now.
I didn't realize we get Penn State, Oregon, Ohio State, Washington, and Alabama, Georgia are all the same day.
Banger.
Who does this?
Banger.
Spread them out.
No way to live. All right, let's do our playoff brackets. You start.
Okay.
We'll do this every week.
So yeah, we're gonna do it every week. A small sample size, reflective of what's happened thus far, and we have one set of games to go off of.
But our goal here is to be right. Every week, we're trying to pick the playoff that will be at the end of the year based on the information that we've gathered. We're not saying this is who we would put in the playoff today. So this is different than a ranking. This is using more information to adjust our prediction.
Correct. Okay. So I think I had Ohio State 2 in the first one we did, but we're not necessarily going for that. I have Ohio State as the 1 seed, as a Big Ten champ. I have LSU as the 2 seed as an SEC champ. I have Miami as the 3 seed as an ACC champ. And I have Penn State as the 4 seed as the Big Ten runner-up. You want to go through the remainder of it?
Yeah, you do your whole thing.
Okay. 5, I have Texas, second SEC team. 6, I have Oregon, third Big Ten team. 7, I have Georgia, third SEC team. 8, I have Utah, Big 12 champ. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid a little bit. I really just thought that offense looked physical, and I like the way that Gus Malzahn calls a run game. I have Florida State 9, second ACC team. Notre Dame 10, Iowa State 11, second Big 12 team. And then 12th seed, my G5 team, South Florida.
Okay. So you and I have 10 of the 12 same teams. I have Ohio State 1, Texas 2. I want to talk about Texas LSU here. Miami 3. We agree on that. That's my switch. So I had 2 ACC teams previously, Clemson as the champ, Georgia Tech as the second team. I'm in on Miami right now. Penn State 4, agree. LSU 5, Notre Dame 6, Utah 7, Oregon 8, Georgia 9, Clemson 10, Illinois 11, and also South Florida 12. Let's actually do the South Florida thing. You and I, we just did our playoff bracket, and we didn't want to be wrong before the show came out because we recorded it. What that Boise
we recorded
State
it that
Florida
morning,
game
I think.
was on Thursday.
Yeah,
but we weren't putting out the show till Friday, so we both thought that South Florida was going to win that game, and we had targeted that. We were talking about South Florida, Boise State in May, about how this is a gigantic game for the G5, and then South Florida, led by Columbus native, right? Westerville Central former assistant coach Alex Golish. He started his coaching career at the high school that I can see from my house. He's now the head coach at South Florida. He was went
born,
to OSU.
He was born in Moscow, Russia.
Yeah, he's got a great story. But he was a student at Ohio State. Was like a grad assistant at Ohio State, like as a young guy, right? And then started high school coaching. Was the offensive coordinator at Tennessee when they were good a couple of years ago. Got the South Florida head job off of that. Big Ten's got to get him back. Big Ten's got to get him back. North-South thing, Big Ten's got to get him back. Next big opening.
Wisconsin?
He's got to be...
Luke's going to keep the job if they beat Alabama.
He's got to be in contention, and they have to go get him before somebody else does next opening. So I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. I'd be up for Cincinnati making a play if this gets away from Cincinnati.
Yeah.
So, like, would he definitely leave South Florida for Cincinnati as an Ohio native? Probably.
I think so.
But like, we got to get him north. But anyway, we just didn't want to pick South Florida, so we picked other teams. I actually think this has a very good chance to be right now that South Florida is going to be the Group of 5 team.
They're going to beat Florida this weekend. So when that happens,
Oh, yeah.
They play Florida and Miami. They play their next 2 games are against Florida and then either Miami or Florida State.
So they have to win one of those.
They play at Florida this Saturday and at Miami on September 13th.
They're going to have trouble at Miami. They have a chance to beat Florida. So this is one of those where it's like,
both. What if they win both?
If they win both, then South Florida is like the 3 seed. Now we're back to Boise State being the 3 seed. I did not help. I thought Toledo would beat Kentucky. I had Toledo as my Group of 5 team. They hung with Kentucky, but did not win. Yeah. I'll be curious, like 11-1 Toledo not beating the SEC team on its schedule. They beat the SEC on its schedule last year. They beat Mississippi State and then lost the next week. I'll be curious how that goes.
I had James Madison.
What did they do? They duke it out.
They hammered Weber State 45-10.
Yeah,
they play at Louisville on Friday.
Take that, you Weebers. But we think South Florida could be it. So the two. So I want to ask about a couple things very quickly. You're out on Clemson. You don't have Clemson in your playoff.
No, yeah, I don't like what I saw there. Part of it was with Antonio Williams, one of their 3 good receivers, like got hurt and wasn't available, and he's probably their best receiver. I thought line of scrimmage wasn't great, wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be.
I still think they'll be fine. I think Klubnik will be okay. I think
also no juice.
They're supposed to be really good defensively. They have a lot of good defensive talent. I'm not out. I'm not all the way out. You have LSU as the SEC champ. You think LSU is now the best team in the SEC?
I think, yeah. I mean, I think maybe Texas has a better defense than LSU. I really liked what I saw from LSU's offense. I know they didn't score a ton, but skill-wise, I like Nussmeier. Arch is, I think, got to go find himself a little bit, and it might take some time. I could definitely foresee a situation where Texas gets the ship right pretty quickly, and by the end of the year, like SEC championship time, Texas is the better team. But I feel a little better about LSU right now.
Yeah, I'm still on Texas. I'm not.
I mean, I'm not out. I have them as the 5 seed.
Yeah, I think I would still consider them the best team in the SEC. I think they got Patricia in week 1. Again, by the way, I was trying to double check the Patriots Super Bowl stuff to be like, did Bill Belichick even win a Super Bowl without Matt Patricia? And he actually, I think, won 4 of the 6 without Matt Patricia. But Matt Patricia propping up the second half of Bill Belichick's career. Is that where we are? Is that the official? Have we rejiggered history?
Sure, I'm for it. Yeah, I'm in favor of that.
I'm so glad that Bill Belichick got his doors blown off. The hubris, the absolute hubris involved here. I'm not here to make fun of a 73-year-old guy who has a 27-year-old girlfriend, but the hubris, oh my gosh. And most of it's his GM, that Mike Lombardi guy who thinks he reinvented football. And it's like,
they're the 33rd NFL team.
They're the 33rd NFL team. My God, they just set themselves up for it. Just come in and try. The hubris, the absolute hubris. Delicious. Was it not delicious? Oh my God, it was great. So delicious.
I can't believe I didn't think they were going to win, but I'm really glad they got hammered.
And after they went down and scored on their first drive, I'm not here to call out national media. The national media reaction on social media was unbelievable. Mm-hmm. People really need to stop tweeting during games. Because it's like, well, 5 minutes in, I've made my decision. It's the greatest hire in college football history.
Freddie Kitchens and Gio Lopez are an unmatched coordinator-quarterback combination in college football.
Anyway, Notre Dame. I see people. I'm not out at all. And I thought we talked about this a little bit. Like Julian Sayin sort of wasn't put in the position where he had to go win a game. CJ Carr did get put in a position where he had to try to lead Notre Dame back. He made some throws. They called a really good quarterback draw at the end of the game that got a touchdown that looked like Riley Leonard. And it's like, hey, this guy can still be physical. I thought like that was a bit of a thing down there in Miami because they don't always have a great home field advantage, but that game was so physical. It was raining. The crowd got into it. That felt like the old U, and that was CJ Carr's first start. I thought they held up pretty well. I know I was looking at PFF grades. Their young left tackle, Anthony Knapp, who ended up playing as a true freshman last year, like just did not have a good game. And I was a little surprised that they wound up keeping Knapp at left tackle. I thought he was going to move inside and they were going to move some guys around. I thought maybe Charles Jagusaw would wind up back at left tackle. Instead, they said he was going to be the right guard, and then he broke his arm in an ATV accident, so he's out anyway. I wonder what they might do there. He'll be back this year. I don't think he's not out for the year. The young guys they had to.
A bad game.
Emil Wagner got absolutely like spun in a circle on a key play late in the game that would just like absolutely destroyed when Emil Wagner was really good last year, I thought, at right tackle. So that was, I think they got their heads were spinning a little bit. So I know people, so Notre Dame's off this week and then they have Texas A&M. They host Texas A&M, which is the team they opened with last year. I've seen people say, they don't play a bunch of great teams. Actually, they have Boise State on the schedule and the Boise State lost. Now, actually, if Notre Dame's looking from a resume standpoint, you don't know how good USC is going to be. They do have the USC game, of course. Sort of saying like 10-2 Notre Dame, like they can't lose to Texas A&M because 10-2 Notre Dame might not get in. I just like that's not where my head went. Even if that's true, I'm not thinking like, oh no, what are they going to do? Because certainly Texas A&M did not look great in week one, a team that I had in the playoff in the preseason. So we both have Notre Dame still in the playoff. I have not changed my mind much about Notre Dame other than their offensive line needs to get its feet under it.
I changed my mind on Notre Dame like 2 weeks ago. Think like just like knocking them down a little bit, but still as a playoff team. And I thought they were going to lose to Miami. So like I'm not surprised by that. So like I don't think I've changed long term. It was a little jarring to see the offensive line play the way that it did.
Yeah.
And also like Jeremiah Love's got to get the ball more, but
yeah.
I think he will get the ball more. I think they'll be okay. I actually liked a little bit of what I saw from their receivers too. So
Jordan Faison was scooting a little bit. He was looking. Yeah. Malachi
so
Fields made some big plays. Yeah. Better skill.
Yeah. I think they'll be okay. I think it's a tough, the thing that brought me back a little bit is like, it wasn't an enthusiastic CJ Carr's our guy as a starting quarterback. Like there was a lot of back and forth there. That just made me feel like CJ Carr is going to have to like grow into this a little more maybe than I was anticipating before, which is fine. He's a young quarterback, but that might also mean they lose to Texas A&M. But I think at 10-2, they would still probably be in.
But I think he showed he is the guy. Like I thought he showed some gumption.
He made some plays. Yeah. Definitely made some plays.
Utah, we were both in on. And I think they, like anybody, we've been trying to drag people along with Utah. I thought Utah showed it. I also think UCLA might stink like garbage, no offense. But Utah destroyed them, and Devin Dampier running it and throwing it. I think Utah showed everything you want to be. I feel very good about Utah as the Big 12 favorite right now in my mind, which they were too.
I don't think UCLA is good, but then you want to make sure that Utah makes them look like they're not good, and they did right on the road. So Dampier's fun. I think the running backs look good. They're playing like two guys both ways with Lander Barton and Smith Snowden playing offense and defense. Maybe that's not a ringing endorsement of their other offensive skill besides their running backs, but it's still kind of fun to watch. Both guys score touchdowns against UCLA. So I just think they're going to like bludgeon their way through the Big 12 with that rushing attack.
And then wrapping it up, is Ohio State the team to beat? They're the defending national champs. A lot of talented players left. Both coordinators left. Whether it was Texas, whether you thought it was Penn State's year this year, a team like Clemson, a team like Notre Dame. I don't know that there were a ton of people. I actually don't know that did you see anybody pick Ohio State to win the national title this year? Like a major media person in the preseason. I don't know that I saw anybody.
I can't recall anybody. No.
Is Ohio State the team to beat? Would you look at it and now say, man, I think they have and we talked about this on a previous show a while ago. Like not a lot of teams have repeated, but a lot of teams have come close to repeating. Did you think they looked like a team on Saturday who absolutely has a chance to repeat?
Yeah, I think it's fair to give them the treatment we were giving Georgia a few years ago, right? Like Georgia came off national titles and lost guys and still got the benefit of the doubt. Ohio State, I mean, they were the number 3 team. It's not like if people were writing them off entirely, but they didn't have the same. They didn't have people talking about them in the same kind of way as people talked about those Georgia teams for a couple of years. And maybe that wasn't entirely off base given what Ohio State did lose, but then they went out and beat the number 1 team in the country, and I think put themselves in that spot. So I think they're the team to beat. Yeah.
We both have them as the 1 seed. If you were asked for a bet your house national championship pick today, would you pick Ohio State?
Yeah.
I think maybe I would too. And it's because it's more about like what Ohio State is. And it's like, okay, is Ohio State 89% of what it can be? Is it 92% of what it can be? And then if that's the case, because they lost coordinators, because they're playing some guys who haven't started before, then that creates openings for Penn State or Oregon or Notre Dame or LSU or Texas. But if Ohio State's 100% of Ohio State, I don't know if anybody's beaten them. Mm-hmm. So it's not that your mind necessarily changed about anybody else. It's like, how close to 100% is Ohio State? If they were 100, they weren't 100% all last year, but they were 100% in the playoff. They weren't perfect on Saturday, but you can see what's out there. And if they're 100% Ohio State, Bill, I don't think anyone's beating them.
It's a tough task. I don't know. I don't know if you look at like all the rosters and say like this team's going to absolutely maximize itself, and like that includes Ohio State. Like, who would you say maximum version would be better than Ohio State's? I'd like maybe Texas, I think, but it's hard to say that when Ohio State just played the way it played against Texas.
Penn State got good play from its receivers on Saturday.
Yeah.
Like I'm open to the Penn State discussion on that. I'm not writing off Penn State at all. Miami looked like a bunch of dudes. So like that's probably where I would lead that conversation. Is Mario Cristobal head to Ryan Day going to get it done?
I was watching that game on Sunday night thinking like, I don't like Miami. Like I'm talking like Miami, like the town. I don't want to really go to Miami, but Ohio State versus Miami in Miami for the national title. I'd watch that.
That would be pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll probably do this every Tuesday. We appreciate you guys being here. Try the Substack. You can find Bill and Doug OSU Substack. Google it. And then if you just put in your email to be able to get this stuff, and you get a free trial, right, Bill? And you can test out like what we're doing over there. And we certainly would invite anybody to do that. And then we're also going to keep dropping stuff here on YouTube. And again, our podcast feeds will be up and running soon.
Yeah. This week with the podcast feeds on YouTube, probably most days, if not every day. And then, a bunch of kind of premium stuff on the Substack page as well. So you can find us in a lot of places. And again, thank you for supporting this from the jump. It's been great.
Greatly appreciated. The podcast feeds are live. We just so you can go search on Spotify, on Apple, Bill and Doug Show, and get subscribed to it. There just might not be shows popping in there quite yet, but soon. So anyway, for now, thanks to you guys for being here. He's Bill Landis. I'm Doug Lesmerises, and that was the Bill and Doug Show.